Good afternoon, everyone. Let's see, it's my pleasure to introduce our next presenter, Patrick Zerny. Pat's been with DakotaLink since before 2000, is that right? Since the last millennium? I've been with the Transition Project that long too, but Pat has wonderful knowledge of assistive technology devices and their uses, and just a great resource. I think sometimes we don't utilize assistive technology as much as we could as special educators. There's a lot of students who maybe just need a little bit of a leg up in order to be able to be successful in their different environments. And Patrick's going to tell us a little bit about how that can work. Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. As Dave said, I've been with the project a long time, and actually since 1992. So that puts us at 28 some years in doing this and enjoying it every day. DakotaLink has a rich history here in South Dakota, and we've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of individuals. I am the coordinator of technical services here, and I'll explain a little bit more about DakotaLink. I think it's important to note a few things before we dig into our presentation. DakotaLink started out as strictly a grant operation, a federally funded grant that is operated by Black Hills Special Services and has been since the beginning. We operate through the Division of Human Services, the Department of Human Services here in the state, and the grant comes from Health and Human Services Administration for Community Living in Washington. It has changed a little bit where it originates, but the fact is that the grant, which started originally in 1988, South Dakota was funded in 1992. It was reauthorized in 1998, and then again in 2004. And the grant is still in effect today. And so part of funding that we receive is through this grant that allows us to do a lot of grant activities to provide information about assistive technology, to do presentations like this, and to provide a lot of other supports that I want to explain just here in a minute. So our mission is to assist individuals with functional limitations, regardless of disability and regardless of age, to maximize their potential, whether they're at home, at school, at work, or in the community. And we do that by providing access and information to assistive technology, and do whatever we can to help individuals acquire that assistive technology. So specifically, assistive technology is any piece of equipment, any item, whether it's acquired off the shelf, modified, customized, any piece of equipment that's used to maintain or improve the functional capabilities of individuals with disabilities or the elderly. And then equally important is the assistive technology service. And that is any service that directly assists an individual in the acquisition or use of an assistive technology device. And of course, that includes evaluation and acquiring that device as well. I want to talk a little bit today about something that's become more and more important as we mesh universal design with assistive technology. Back when laws have been previously passed to provide accessibility to individuals with disabilities, such as the Rehabilitation Act, the Education for Children with Disabilities Act, and even the American with Disabilities Act has allowed us to provide designs that is more universal for everyone. And those designs are incorporated into the environment that we use. And so I think it's equally important to talk about universal design today, and maybe distinguish a little bit, if I can, the difference between universal design and assistive technology. I think that one thing I want to point out is that universal design doesn't necessarily negate the need for assistive technology. And I think we'll see that a little bit as we move into our presentation. Some examples of universal design would be accessible buildings and environments. Inside of facilities, we see lever handles that we take for granted that have been around for a long time now. Light switches that are easy to use by anybody, controls on equipment. And then very important for this group that we're working with today is information in curriculum is available electronically, and in many cases visually and auditorily at the same time. The meaningful use of icons with text labels. Closed captioning has been around since 1992. Web pages are designed with pictures that may not be accessible to individuals who are blind, but then those pictures are now encoded with scripts that will read that information inside that picture, describing that picture to what that is inside that picture to individuals who are blind or have low vision. Voice control of equipment has become enormous now, not only with the computer technology, but with our smart pads and smartphones that we're using now. A lot of these things that are universal design may have been originally designed to help individuals with disabilities. And then all of a sudden they found out how this idea could be incorporated to the masses to help make accessibility commonplace to all individuals. And then of course, I spoke a little bit about computers and tablets and portable devices. Even touch windows is very commonplace today, whereas when I started, a touch window was very rudimentary and not that easy to use and not that accurate. And now it's extremely accurate and extremely available on all devices that we use. I'll talk just a little bit more about the grant if I can. I want you to be able to take advantage of the free services that DakotaLink provides. We support and encourage financing efforts. And to that end, DakotaLink operates a low interest loan program. And we can help individuals who may not be able to access funding sources, whether it be through the school system or vocational rehabilitation or other community agencies and organizations. We do provide low interest loans to individuals. And the types of loans we've been getting, quite frankly, since we've initiated the loan program, have been for vehicle modifications, but we have helped with bathroom modifications and have helped with a few other items along the way. We also participate in a lot of reutilization or recycling efforts. It is a big part of our grant program. And to that end, we are now in our 4th year of operating a medical equipment recycling program in Sioux Falls called the Medical Equipment Reuse and Recycle Program. And it's a project funded by Medicaid in South Dakota. And a lot of the people who are eligible for this program are typically people who are on Medicaid. But if we have a piece of equipment that has been in our inventory for 90 days, then that piece of equipment is available to anyone. And we've been able to work with programs like family support and birth to 3 programs who are working with individuals who may not be on Medicaid and have been able to provide a like new piece of equipment for 1/4 of the cost of that piece of equipment. And so it's a very new but very exciting recycling program that we've been involved in. And there are numerous other recycling programs that we're involved in, but I won't get into those today. We do provide short-term loans of assistive technology devices right out of our office here in Rapid City. And we have a pretty large inventory of devices that we can loan out. One of the things that we tend to loan out the most of is these iPads with communication apps on them that I'll probably touch on a little bit today. We do provide demonstrations and training and technical assistance like what we're doing today, and we conduct public awareness activities as much as we can, and we try to coordinate services between agencies and entities as much as possible. So those are our grant activities. And then in 1995, through the encouragement of the Department of Human Services, they wanted us to start providing direct services, especially in areas that they felt weren't currently available in the state of South Dakota. And so starting in 1995, we started a fee-for-service component, and we branched out to open up 4 offices and hire 6 and 7 technicians that go out and provide assessments and recommend equipment. And then we offer to actually sell that equipment and provide any installation and training. And so with that, now we have offices established in not only Rapid City, but Sioux Falls, Brookings, and Aberdeen. We started this referral process, as I mentioned, a fee-for-service process with vocational rehabilitation. And we set up one of the first electronic referral systems in the country. And so for those of you that may be working with students that are transitioning from high school to secondary education, The process that we use, I wanted to explain to you a little bit. Most of you that are involved in transition age students are probably working with not only your student that may be transitioning, but also a local vocational rehabilitation counselor, and that could be someone over at the Department of Rehabilitation, Division of Rehabilitation Services, or at the Division of Service to the Blind and Visually Impaired. In any case, how we work with vocational rehabilitation services is a referral. The counselor obviously meets with the prospective consumer who's planning to go to college or trade school, and works out a plan similar to the IEP plan that you might have in high school. And then a referral is sent through the case management system at the state over to DakotaLink. And then I or someone in my office assigns a technician to work with that consumer. And then we are to have that assessment done generally within 21 days. And then that information is gathered, equipment is demonstrated and evaluated to that individual, and a report is written up and sent back to that counselor. And then the counselor meets with that individual and finishes writing up their individualized plan. And then should they, the counselor and the consumer, should they agree to the recommendations that we've made, then an authorization is sent out to DakotaLink, and we turn around and order the equipment and try to have it delivered within 2 weeks to 3 weeks, depending on what the piece of equipment is. And so, and then when, of course, the training is done, we write another report and send that back to the counselor. So I think we have a pretty smooth system set up to work with state vocational rehabilitation. But I want to go back and just mention that we work with school districts all over the state for students that are not transitioning. We work with Veterans Administration every day, all 3 offices here in the state of South Dakota. We work with private businesses, and we work with private individuals that come in looking for assistance with assistive technology. And no one is turned away from our services. If anyone seeks assistance from DakotaLink, the ability to pay is not the priority. The priority is how we can help that individual. And so we have obviously grant resources to help us in many cases find the right solutions for individuals. However, through the grant, we can't purchase any equipment with grant dollars, but we can do whatever we can to help put assistive technology into the hands of these individuals. So with all that preemptive information aside, I want to talk about some specific assistive technology, and rather than focus on the disability, I want to focus on the issues that that individual may have in succeeding, whether it be at school, at work, or at home. And so we're going to start out with reading, a very important area, and one of the areas that we deal with a lot. And to start out with, obviously eyeglasses are an extremely important piece of assistive technology. as is medical equipment. The AT that we usually deal with is not necessarily in those two categories. Usually we deal with other high-tech and low-tech assistive technologies, but really the sky's the limit as far as DakotaLink's concerned. We work with all types of technology and field all types of questions here in our office related to assistive technology. So in the area of reading, once again, there are colored overlays, large print books, handheld magnifiers. There are electronic magnification systems for people who can no longer use magnifiers. And now some of those electronic magnification systems include the ability to convert magnified text to speech for individuals. And so a lot of electronics being built into these magnification devices. And so beyond that, there are computers and now smart devices that can convert scanned text and into auditory reading. And then with some of those programs that can convert text to speech, some of them take that next level up and provide study skills and test taking skills and writing skills and really are more robust programs designed at a much higher level than just converting text to speech. Text to speech in itself has almost become a universal design concept now, but taking it to that next step moves it to what we would call assistive technology. And an example of that would be, I'll show you a text-to-speech program that that can scan and read, but not only does it read out loud, but now it highlights as it's reading so that people can work on their word identification skills and their tracking skills at the same time. So, and we have talking books, talking dictionaries, screen reading software is designed for people that are blind or have very low vision. And then for some of those individuals, we still have a lot of people that use Braille and not only Braille in hard copy, but what we would call refreshable Braille. And that's a keyboard that has little movable bumps, refreshable Braille cells built into their either keyboard or laptop device. Just a few examples on the screen here. Obviously, there's so much to say about what is built into these smart devices that we have. They are so universally designed now. But then above and beyond that, there's apps that you can purchase for these devices that are more specific to assistive technology. And then there are magnification systems, as you see there on the right-hand side of your screen, that will magnify printed material up to 60 times its size. And those machines now, many of them have speech capabilities built into them so that they can read out loud when someone's eyes are tired after using one of the devices for a long time, or when there's print that is simply too difficult for them to read. Obviously, handheld magnifiers, even that technology has come a long way now with LED bulbs replacing halogen bulbs and batteries lasting and bulbs lasting months, if not years now, rather than just a few weeks. Programs on the computer down in the, well, in an example of a Braille device is the one in the center on the bottom there. That is a refreshable Braille note taker. And then on the bottom right-hand side of your screen is an example of a text-to-speech program, very robust for the computer. But
Patrick?
I'm going to go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I see that we had a question in the chat box. And let's see, Mara from Newell's asking, what programs highlight text as you read?
Let's talk about that a little bit. I'm going to, and just before we get to that, if this is okay, I want to switch over to some low tech. These are reading guides that people can use. You just lay these guides down on the paper, and you can have them that overlay line by line, or can do entire paragraphs, something that someone could easily put in their pocket and take from class to class. Overlays have been around for many, many years and do help individuals with reading. And then as far as programs that will convert text to speech and provide some auditory feedback at the same time, two of the popular programs that we use on the computer is the Read and Write made by Text Help, and the Kurzweil 3000 made by Cambian. Both of these programs, we've demonstrated both of these programs for many, many years. And I want to show one of those after I demonstrate a handheld magnifier here. You can see this is a lighted stand magnifier here. And so this is one that you lay right on the document. And then a handheld magnifier would be a little bit different in that you would hold this in your hand and you could hold it at different lengths from the paper that you're working with. And back to that question in the queue, I am going to switch over to, I'm going to just see how much trouble I can get into here, and I'm going to share my screen with my iPad, I think. And yeah, it's coming in. So you all should be able to see my iPad now. And so on my iPad, we have one program that we've worked with quite a bit, and it's called the KNFB Reader. This is, I talked a little bit ago about a Read and Write, which is now $800, and then Kurzweil, which is $1,300, and both of those are designed for the computer, but both of those now have capabilities that once you buy a license, you can use it on any platform that you wish. But another program that we demonstrate a lot is one called the KNFB Reader. This one is $100. And with this one, you simply get over the document that you want to read, and you You click the camera here, and within about 10 seconds,
available Toronto, South Dakota. SDAT for All is also your direct link to DakotaLink's device loan program. Variety of devices are available for short-term loan to assist in making a purchasing decision or a temporary subsidy.
so very powerful tools now that weren't available only a few years ago that will allow individuals to use their smartphones for scanning and reading. And so something that someone could carry on their hip and carry from class to class very easy to scan and read. That's a very powerful program. Now, that program for $100 might not have some of the study skills and other things that some of those other programs I mentioned would have. But for someone that just wants scanning and reading with highlighting text, this is a very powerful program that does that. Another program, and I'm going to go ahead and back over to my iPad again. If I may switch back, and I'm going to go to a free program. Let's see here. This one called Seeing AI. Seeing AI is powerful, and I can't. The second that I point it at a piece of paper, it starts reading it.
Encourage financing efforts. Access to DakotaLink primary activities. Support and encourage financing efforts to increase access to and funding for assistive tests.
So how is that for powerful? I mean, that is instantaneous reading of any text. Now, you saw for free, you don't get the highlighting capabilities that you do in the more powerful program. But the fact is, for free, there's a lot of things that Seeing AI can do, and that's made by Microsoft. Very powerful program. I'm going to go back to my slide a little bit and move on. I always end up taking quite a bit of time, and I think rightfully so, on reading, because so many people that we work with have reading issues to deal with. AT for writing, there is a lot of low-tech solutions for that as well. Adaptive grips, writing utensils. There's a lot of braces that occupational therapists might make, but there's also off-the-shelf ones that I'll show you in a second that can be purchased. Now, a lot of us are moving into classroom settings or coming from classroom settings where everyone has a laptop now or a portable device. And so a lot of writing is now being done through computer-related technology. And so we have, obviously, with that computer-related technology, have adaptive keyboards and alternatives to the mouse, and even switch activation to operate some of these devices. Word prediction or abbreviation expansion is probably, once again, something that was definitely designed for individuals with disabilities. And then we found out, wow, this is a powerful tool for everyone to have as they're typing on their smart device. And so now all of our smart devices predict text, predict words. And so a very powerful tool that was initially designed for people with disabilities is now what we call universal design. Now, there is still some word prediction that is even a level above, in that it can start predicting the next word, and not only predict the word that you're on, but start predicting the next word or a chain of words, and some of the more powerful stuff that is third party or something that we might have to purchase would be on that realm. We have dictionaries and thesauruses, once again, or on to speech to text. We can all talk to our phones now. We can all talk to our iPads. There's text to speech, definitely built into to every computer system. And then there are still some third-party products out there that are extremely powerful. And speaker-independent systems now is what we have on our phones, where it really doesn't require any specific training. And speaker-dependent are ones that do require some training. And typically, the more robust systems that you'll find on a computer, and especially third-party ones like Dragon Naturally Speaking is a program that we use all the time on computers, is much more robust probably than what you'll find on a typical computer system. But nonetheless, we're still able to use speech to text on our phones and transcribe that to documents. And the technology, as I mentioned with Dragon Naturally Speaking, when I first started using it in 1992, this program was $4,000. And I was lucky after 2 weeks of training if I could type 25 words a minute. Well, now, with less than 5 minutes of training, I can type over 100 words a minute. They boast obviously 160 words a minute, but I'm saying realistically, I can type well over 100 words a minute with a 97% accuracy. And with the proper training, a lot of the individuals that we work with can do the same. Some of the things that I just got done talking about, that Dragon Naturally Speaking, down in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, is a program that we still use a lot. It's $300. And then the microphone that goes with it that we recommend is another $50, but still an extremely powerful program. And then there are the low-tech solutions, handwriting splints. What you see on the lower left-hand side of your screen is a weighted pen. And then there are on the middle upside top of your screen is a slant board. And then on the upper right-hand side there is simply some no slide material that you can put under your writing board for someone that may be spastic or have Parkinson's or anything like that requires a more solid writing surface to prevent sliding around. Trackballs and keyboards, there are a lot of those devices that are available. Obviously, you see the one on your on the presentation there, but I have others that I can show you. This is a Kensington trackball, and with this one, all these have a very good high resolution. In other words, they're very accurate in moving around the screen. Most of them will have a scroll wheel around the outside. that you can utilize. And then there, on this particular one, there's 4 buttons there that a person can assign different things to. So very nice. This here is a evolution mouse, where it stands straight up, and you use it kind of like a trackball and a mouse at the same time. But I now have my hand upright on this document, as you can see here. So we have over a dozen different kinds of trackballs and mouse alternatives that an individual can look at. And then in the area of keyboards, obviously there are standard keyboards out there. This right here is a miniature keyboard, and for someone that's one-handed, this is a fairly good keyboard to use. But more importantly, for someone with 2 hands, that still does not have very good range of motion. And that's why we moved to smaller keyboards and trackballs instead of mice, is to reduce our range of motion. And so if you're having someone that's struggling with their range of motion, then it's time to look at these types of devices. But this particular keyboard, not only is it miniature, but if someone is a 2-handed user, then you can easily convert this to an ergonomic design for someone. And so very nice that way. The keyboard that I'm using here is an ergonomic keyboard. And of course, what we're looking at typically when we're working with individuals that need a keyboard is, with the original keyboard design being straight, our hands tend to be crooked right here at the wrist, and in many cases bent back as we're reaching down to type. What we want to try to do is to release those bends in our wrist to a more natural position. And so we want to take the bend out of the side of our wrist and try to take the bend out of the top of our wrist. Some of you that have been in the business for a long time, I'm sure, have some residual effects of typing with the old keyboards. And I can assure you, if you get onto a new keyboard, that you'll be back to the same typing speed that you previously had, typically within 2 weeks.
Patrick?
Go ahead, Dave.
We had another question. Cindy from Timberlake asks, do you have a favorite text-to-speech reader that has a more human voice? My student's biggest complaint about text-to-speech is the robot voice.
Yeah, and that's that is an age-old question. But as technology gets better, and as computers get faster, we do find better sounding speech, more human-like. And so all of the programs that I've described have the ability to include better high quality and more human-like speech. The caveat to that would be sometimes you need a more robust computer system. And in today's technology, most of this stuff runs on any computer system. But when I talked about the text-to-speech, where we're trying to read stuff out loud while we're highlighting at the same time, if sometimes, especially on a computer system, if there's a delay in highlighting and reading that, in other words, if they aren't matching exactly then sometimes you do need a little bit faster computer to compensate for that. But back to the original question, yes, I believe that a lot more of the speech nowadays is more human-like and getting better every day. Just a little bit on the screen here before I move on. We have a Big Keys keyboard in the upper left-hand corner for someone that has difficulty with a regular keyboard or even an ergonomic keyboard if they have spasticity or large fingers. We have a Maltron keyboard in the upper middle that we've only used maybe 2 times in the last 28 years that I've been here. And then our most common ergonomic keyboard is the 3M keyboard on the right-hand upper corner there. And you see how that one's raised in front. And that is designed to take that bend out of the wrist. And I see a lot of people take that keyboard out of the box and throw that bottom piece away. And so that bottom piece is important. And depending on the height of your keyboard tray or desk, you may find that very useful to try to take that bend out of your wrist. Some more track balls down below, and even a joystick down in the lower right-hand side there. When we talk about AT for math, there are some solutions that we work with. They do make talking calculators, talking rulers, talking thermometers, and talking weight measuring devices. And we've worked with carpenters, we've worked with culinary chefs, we've worked with people in all aspects of either vocational or pre-vocational activities where they've benefited from these devices that have been around for a long time. A lot of the students that we tend to work with that are moving on to college may have some issues with math. Maybe they need some remedial skills. And with that, there are software programs, some very inexpensive, that we've recommended for individuals so that they can work on their remedial skills either before or while they're in their post-secondary education. And then particularly in the next slide here, there are pictures of talking scale, talking thermometer, and a talking ruler there. But on the lower right-hand side is a program that we've used a lot called Algebrator. And for less than $50, this is a program that will show you how to resolve arithmetic and other math problems. And we provide this to many of our college students that we work with. And just to maybe show at least one free app that's available out there. Once again, I'm going to switch over to my iPad if I can. And bring us back in here. And I'm going to look for a program called PhotoMath. And while I'm here, you see this talking scientific calculator on the slide that I was just showing was a $300 talking calculator made by Texas Instruments. But now you can get that app on your phone for free. Pretty amazing how technology has come along. But I'm going to turn on this, this photo math, and I'm going to zero in on a handwritten math problem here, and take a picture of it. And all these on top are paid solutions. I'm going to go down to the free solutions down at the bottom. And there you have, in the center of the screen there, my answer worked out. And if you need a clear explanation of the steps to solving that problem, there it is for you. And we've had a lot of people benefit from this free program. Previously, I showed you some of the paid solutions on top. That is a new feature to try to hook you into their $9 a month subscription to this. And it seems like everything is going to subscription these days, unfortunately. So let's go back to our slide. And I do appreciate the questions. And I'm sorry if I'm not picking up the chat boxes as much as Dave is, but I'm sure Dave will alert me if we do have more questions to answer, and I'll be happy to do that. Assistive technology for speech. You know, for years and years, DakotaLink carried over $100,000 worth of communication devices. We wanted to assist speech and language pathologists throughout the state in having the latest technology for individuals. And these were what we would call in the past dedicated augmentative communication devices. And now with the proliferation of these tablets and smartphones and apps that are available, we've almost, in most of the cases we've worked with, and almost all the school districts we've worked with in the last 5 years, have gone to recommending, demonstrating, and evaluating different apps that can be put on these iPads for communication. And so for individuals that were paying over $4,000 for a communication device, can now get an iPad set up for $400 to $500. Something that has come about even in the last year is for people that need eye gaze technology. Some of those dedicated systems were $8,000 to $10,000, even some I've seen that were $12,000 on dedicated devices. Well, now they have apps that are available for the iPad for $300 that will allow you to operate the iPad, and in particular, a communication program by eye gaze for $300. And so now we're seeing iPads capable. It has to be a higher end or an iPad Pro, but we're seeing these iPads, and Apple is putting such great cameras into their iPads, which allows for these apps to work with such accuracy with eye gaze. And in any case, a device that may have previously costed $10,000, we may now be able to purchase for less than $1,000. Is just mind-boggling at how technology has actually brought down the cost of assistive technology, and that combined with the universal design of these products. There you see a picture of a communication app in the on the lower right-hand side. In the upper left-hand side, there's a speech clarifier or amplifier, I should say, that will, for someone that has a whisper voice, they can wear that amplifier around their waist, and then it will amplify their speech as they communicate. And then artificial larynx there on the lower left-hand side. You talked previously, someone asked about robotic speech. Now there was some robotic speech. That was about as bad as we ever had, but in the early days, it was all we had for someone that used an artificial larynx, just a very, very robotic type speech. In the upper right-hand side is for someone that requires, rather than an iconic display or a graphic display for communicating, they want an orthographic display. In other words, they want to type everything that they say, and they may use this in combination with word prediction, and that light writer is what that one was very popular device for many years. But now on the iPads, you can get devices that allow you to type just like that for once again a tenth of the cost, and then of course with the iPads and with all the smart devices, I should make you aware that there are programs available here in the state of South Dakota for someone that has distance communication needs, and at the same time they have personal communication needs. There are programs available to help people who in the past may have used some type of specialized telephone system to acquire an iPad or an iPhone should they need a device for distance communication. And so we've worked through this program here in the state, the TAD program, for many years, very valuable resource. And I know that in working with Family Support Council here in the state, we've also provided a lot of these communication devices and have really helped elevate the child's ability to communicate equally with their peers. And in some cases with these, using these iPads as a communication device, you have a dual purpose device in that you can develop your educational closet as well, having the ability to download many apps for reading and math and writing development, along with other educational activities. I'm going to talk a little bit about AT for the hearing. We still get phone calls. As a matter of fact, I had a long email exchange with someone yesterday afternoon regarding assistive listening systems. And, you know, basically there are, and a lot of people are getting cochlear implants these days, and that is where you know, they may wear something that looks like a hearing aid, but then it also implanted on them is a receiver directly into their to their skull there, that allows them to receive communication from individuals. And there is a program in this state, by the way, one of the few states that has the distance communication program that I just mentioned. but also one of the few states that has a cochlear implant program for individuals that want to receive a cochlear implant, but also there is a hearing aid program for anyone that's younger than 19 years of age and cannot afford to purchase their hearing aids. There is a program available for those individuals through the state of South Dakota, and I wanted to make you aware of that. But back to our listening systems, I'll show you in a little bit, but also talk about closed captioning. Has been around for a long time. A lot of our videos now that have been pre-recorded are captioned. Now we can make captioning very readily on programs or video segments that we've built, but also computer aided real-time translation and computer aided note-taking is where someone might be typing, for example, in a classroom, a person who's deaf or hard of hearing might be watching the board, and someone might be typing on a keyboard or on a laptop computer so that that person may be able to see what the presenter is saying at the same time. And then, of course, there's been a lot of specialized phones out for many years. We've been able to do some amazing things with the iPhones and iPads for people that have needs, but specifically for the hearing community, it was their effort to want a video conferencing so that they could sign to each other. It was their desire to have that capability in really high frames per second on not only on the computer but on their phones, that really moved the technology along to where now it's basically universal design that I can move on this end of the screen and sign to someone without it being blurry. The technology has really come a long way. But with these listening systems, again, we have an example here of an FM system, and this entails I'm going to switch over to this other camera. This entails utilizing a transmitter and then a receiver. And the instructor or professor would wear the transmitter with a microphone, and then the consumer would wear a headset, or in many cases, if you're hearing impaired and are severely hearing impaired or have a high hearing loss, I should say, you might have a T-coil switch on your hearing aid. And in that case, you could put this neck loop over onto your neck and plug this into your, and so without covering your ears, you can use this neck loop that would transmit that audio signal directly to your ears, or to your hearing aid, excuse me. This is a conference mic, very portable conference mic that someone could carry with them to lay on a table so that they can communicate in a conference setting. And then we have more this personal FM system may be about $1,000, and then we have something that is a lot more sophisticated and needs to be basically set up by an audiologist that then would tune in your listening system, or what some of you might have heard called audio trainers, designed for your specific hearing loss. And then there are other more expensive alternatives that we've seen used in your high school, grade school, and even your college classrooms. A couple of the other items on this slide would be this vibrating system here. Here you have a vibrator with 4 different indicator lights on it, and you might have, and this would be for independent living, obviously, but you could have a doorbell, a fire alarm, a telephone, and a bed shaker, all connected to a vibrating system for someone that is hearing impaired. Here's a portable doorbell system. This one just plugs into an outlet, but has this real bright flashing light built into it. So for memory and organization, there are picture schedulers. There's critical thinking software that can be downloaded for free. Many of them apps, obviously, for the smart devices that we have. And you know, what we use a lot is this Microsoft Outlook, and even Google on the computer can help organize individuals' daily schedules immensely without any additional adaptations or software. But we do run into cases where we do need something more sophisticated for some of the individuals that we work with. And in that case, we might download a variety of apps onto the iPad or iPhone. Down in the lower left-hand corner there is the Echo Pen, something that we provide to, oh gosh, it seems like 75% of the students that we work with. And with this Echo Pen, a person would carry this pen in their hand and turn on a microphone that's built into this pen. Then, rather than being distracted in class and taking gobs and gobs of notes, a person could use their attention to watch the speaker, but then during the course of the presentation, make a very short note. And then after that presentation, everything is recorded in the pen, and they want to revert back to that specific spot in the presentation to listen to that again. They would simply touch that one word that they've written on their notepad. And so very popular. We do have people that get handheld recorders to listen to their presentations, to listen to them over again. But we have a lot of people using this Echo Pen technology, and something that is readily available, and basically, once again, quote unquote, universal design. Very nice technology that's available out there. One of the things that we've recommended a lot, along with those remedial math programs, and obviously programs to help individuals read. We're going to get down to the close to the end of our presentation here. And we've got just a few minutes left, and I don't want to leave anybody out. We have obviously a lot of universally designed buildings now. And so for orientation and mobility, we have those things that have been around for a long time. Accessible buildings, signaling systems, grab bars and whatnot. Most of our buildings should be definitely accessible. And we're going to see within the next couple of years a proliferation of mind-controlled prosthetics where people will be thinking something and doing something. Something will be done while they're thinking it, whether it be on the computer or through controlling their environment. We've worked with individuals in the school setting, in a work setting, and many individuals even in the agricultural setting. And there's some examples: automatic gate openers, cameras that can watch your livestock, even a automatic PTO unit that you can hook onto your tractor and operate from the seat of your tractor. So with those environmental controls, boy, we can just do so much with the Amazon Echo now, and all the different things that you can control in your household. It's just amazing, some of that technology that's out there. I want to point out that we have offices in Rapid City. It's our only storefront operation where you can walk in. We have a Sioux Falls office located within the Rehab Center for the Blind. Our Brookings office is right next door to Rehabilitation Services there. And our Aberdeen office is located inside of Super City Mall. So with that, we've only got a few minutes, but I hope there's, Dave, I hope we have a question or two in the queue. And if we don't,
let's see, did have a question about the AI seeing, and I think that got addressed, but we did have a comment from Mara again saying that classroom teachers hate the photo math. They want to see the kids problem solving the way that they do it themselves. Any suggestions on how to deal with situations like that where maybe somebody thinks you're cheating because you have assistive technology?
Yeah, well, the idea was to show you how to do it so that you can do it yourself in the future. But I understand the frustration there, and but I also it makes me relate back to other types of assistive technology. There's many people who are working with children who are developing their communication skills. And there was some theory that, well, maybe if we provide a communication device, then they will use that as a crutch, and they won't learn to develop their communication skills. Well, time and studies have shown that that's not necessarily the case, that that has actually supplemented their ability to learn how to communicate. And the same is true with text-to-speech programs. Obviously, if you're using a text-to-speech program without the highlighting, then I could see where you're just simply using that technology because you don't want to read yourself. But there are times when productivity is an issue and you need to speed up that reading, or more importantly, when you're using that highlighting to keep on developing those word identification and those word tracking skills. Now, I can't relate that back to photo math. I'm sorry, but I understand your point, and it's well taken. So with that, Dave, You know, I think if I recall right, we're winding down our session here.
That's correct. So we have your contact information. So if anyone has questions, should they just contact you directly, or are you planning to be with us tomorrow on the
Yeah,
roundup?
I will give a short spiel tomorrow, but
Okay.
my contact information is on the screen and on your handouts. And I invite anyone to contact me at any time.